coalition, I guess that means you're not the biggest fan of smartphones and youngsters.
Oh, good morning. Yes, we campaign to reclaim childhood from addictive technology. So advocate for delaying giving your child a smartphone until they're in their mid-teens, um, keeping babies and toddlers off screens, and really restricting social media use as well, because we know it has such negative impacts on our kids.
I was quite startled by some of the statistics that we've seen. 30% of 6 and 7-year-olds have a smartphone. Presumably, that's a statistic that you're not on board with as well.
Yeah, it's a harrowing statistic, isn't it? I mean, I first got involved in this movement, and it really is a movement. There are hundreds of thousands of parents across the country that are really revolting against this digital childhood that seems to have become the norm here in Britain. Um, and I was really surprised when my 10-year-old came home from school, first day back after the Christmas break a couple of years ago, and said, "Mummy, all my friends got iPhones for Christmas." And I felt really naive. I thought, well, that's just crazy. What are 10-year-olds, doing getting iPhones? And then I came across the statistic you just mentioned of how many 6 and 7-year-olds, 3 and 10, have smartphones in this country. And it just made me, it really galvanized me to act. And I've really been devoting my life to this cause ever since, because I really do think we have an opportunity to reset social norms. And I just would want anyone listening to know that they don't need anyone's permission to change their mind. If they've given their child a smartphone, or they've given their child access to TikTok or Snap, or they let their child take a tablet or a smartphone to bed with them at night, you know what? Tonight is a new night, and you can change the rules, and you don't need anyone's permission to do that. If it's having a negative impact on your child, if they're becoming withdrawn, or they've been bullied, or they've seen something violent or pornographic, or it's affected their mental health, you can just change the rules, and they don't have to like it. They just have to know why you're doing it, which is because you love them, and it's your job to protect them. So I'm really optimistic that we can change things in Coventry and Warwickshire and across the country.
Okay, what's the harm? Why specifically is there a problem with kids having access to technology which it's impossible to avoid as an adult?
Yeah.
Surely learning how to control the way you use this technology, because it is a part of life, like it or loathe it. We use our whole life is on our phones. Isn't it better that they learn how to cope with it?
Well, listen, I'm so glad you raised that so that I can address it head on. I mean, we are not talking about raising our kids in caves, okay? This is not anti-technology. It's incredibly important that our children learn how to use technology as a tool, as a resource, in supervised environments at home or at school. And if it's done for recreation and for fun, yeah, absolutely. If there's a funny video, an animal video or an educational video that your 5-year-old or your 10-year-old wants to watch, then you should find that video and you should download it for them, or you should watch it with them together. That's great. Um, that we don't drop our 5-year-old off at a street corner and tell them to just walk into a stranger's house and, quote, make good decisions. We would never do that, right? We would never drop off our 8-year-old at a known predator's house and go, it's really important that you spend time around adult predators so you learn how to make good decisions. Why on earth do we put that burden on children in the digital world? So I just don't think it's not a fair fight, right? If you think about it, if a child goes unaccompanied onto the internet, then it's them versus all the algorithms and all the predators in the world. That's not a fair fight. So this isn't anti-tech or anti-screens, but this is saying, yes, as children get into their teenage years, they should have greater responsibility and greater autonomy. But my goodness, whilst they're young, whilst their brains are growing so quickly, they need to be given the gift of childhood. They need to be able to learn those vital life skills of of through play, of resilience, creativity, problem solving, communication, negotiation, all those things that kids learn through play. That's why early years is so play based. That's why schools have breaks, because teachers know the importance of in-person group play for child development. I'm sorry, I went off. Did I answer your question?
I think you did. Yes, it's fine. Rabbit holes are there. This is clearly something that you feel enormously passionate about. One thing, parents, right, and it's really interesting as well what you mentioned about peer pressure. Your 10-year-old came home and said, everybody else at school has got a smartphone. I'm reminded of a friend of mine who, as a child, his parents wouldn't let him watch TV. They had a
Mhm.
TV free house because they said that TV would rot your brain. And he says to me, it was the most damaging thing because most of the conversations in the playground he wasn't able to join in with. He felt like he was completely on his own because he was the only one that wasn't allowed
Yeah.
near a TV. This needs to be a movement because how do you do that? How do you be the one parent who makes that decision?
Yeah, I hear you. And the good news is that you're no longer that one parent. That, as I said, there are literally 350,000 parents across the country that are part of the smartphone free childhood movement. I'm a volunteer for smartphone free childhood in my quote spare time, and I we had a community picnic on Sunday in a local park, and I just put a flyer up in some of the WhatsApp groups, and 15 families just, we didn't know each other. 15 families converged on the green, and for 3 hours the adults chatted and the kids ran around together and had the time of their lives. So I just want to say, listen, you can talk to the parents of your children's friends. It doesn't have to be awkward. It can be as easy as, oh, we're thinking of delaying giving a Harry a phone until he's 14 or 15 or 16. What are you thinking with William? Or, gosh, we don't feel comfortable with Amelia having access to social media like TikTok or Snap. What are you thinking about Sienna? Maybe we could all agree to wait a little bit longer, and that will make it easier. So find your tribe, find people that agree with you. But honestly, if you're that one family in a class or in a school and you feel like you're the only one, that might be true, but that's not true across the country. There are so many people. So I don't think, and I do think it's a little different because, television, we know there's an opportunity cost there with television. Like, it can take hours out of your day, but it's not damaging in the same way that short form content is. It's the interruptions, it's the fragmenting our attention span, that's really impacting children. We know that globally IQ is falling. That's across adults and children, and the researchers say that's just because we're interrupted so often, and we don't really know the long-term impact of that on children who are having that happen to their brains from when they're very, very small. But we know that it is impacting cognitive development and social skills. So I do think there's a collective movement. Obviously, it's growing all the time. But yeah, there's lots of resources online if someone wants to join the smartphone free childhood movement. I'd also say there are devices on the market that just didn't exist 2 years ago. So sometimes parents ask me, well, Jennifer, my child's going to secondary school. It's not good enough to give them a flip phone or a brick phone because, for instance, I want to know where they are. I want to be able to track them. And the great news is there are simple phones now on the market, like the Explorer One, which are calls and text only, but do have GPS. So you can track your child on their phone. And that is great to have options in the market. For parents of younger children, to really encourage relationship building in a safe way, there's the Carry Messenger, which is voice notes for kids. It's like a modern walkie-talkie. And
Mm.
so the little ones can send each other notes. So there's just lots of great options on the market now. And I just want people to know that there's lots of parents struggling with this as well.
It's endemic, isn't it? Would it be interesting to see if having government advice will help with that decision making? Listen, thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer Powers, founder of the Unplugged Coalition. Taking children